Okay, cool.
Am I audible as well?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. Siddharth here. Is everyone able to see my screen as well?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Looking forward to pitching here. So my name is Siddharth Vijayan. I'm the founder of Telo, the run tracking app that brings fun to the run. Now, a little bit of a background. I have been running since 2004. So it's about 16 years or so that I've been running on and off. And I've seen fluctuations in my health when I do run regularly and don't run regularly. I've lost a lot of weight. I've gained a lot of weight when I stopped running. And I've spoken to a lot of people, and people often tell me that running is a boring sport. And I'd like to change that. Honestly, I think that is the easiest sport to pick up. You don't need any equipment. You just need a road, or even these days, virtual running is actually a trend. You can run in your own space, like in the same place that you are. So it's the cheapest form of sporting that anyone can pick up. And that's something that I wanted to sort of make fun for those people who actually think that it's a little boring. So how I want to do it is what I'll be pitching here. The problem, everyone wants to be healthy, but probably there are multiple reasons why people don't pick it up, right? Running is boring, running is tiring, it's not for me, I like group sport activities. These are the sort of standard responses that people give in surveys and when you speak to them as well. So I'd like to address that portion of the audience which actually thinks that it's boring, it's tiring, and it's not for me. Somewhere down the line, it's sort of correlated to it being boring. And because it's boring, it tends to become tiring. If it's fun, you wouldn't get tired that easily. That's my take on it. And I personally think that it can be fun if it is made interesting. And so this is sort of the sample response that I've received in the survey that we've done. We have a small audience that I actually did the survey with. This is the second time that I actually did it for about 60 odd people who responded. I know it's not a sizable audience to take account for, but something nevertheless. So how do we make it interesting, less tiring for them? That's something that I wanted to address. That's a problem that I want to address. I want to address it in two different ways. One is I want to make it, a content-driven platform where people are consuming simple, bite-sized audio clips that they hear, and based on the situation that they are put in, they ought to run in order to escape, to live, survive, or progress to a next stage. So think of it as a game through audio, where running is the activity that you ought to perform in order for you to progress to one stage, from one stage to another. Or if you're put in a scene where survival is the end outcome, then you ought to run in order to survive. So think of different situations. I can give you one simple scenario where you are a robber. You just finished, robbing a huge jewelry shop, and just at the end of it all, when you were about to make the escape, the alarm went off, and now the cops are chasing you. So if you are the protagonist, or you are not the protagonist, but you are the thief, then the only thing that you ought to do in this particular scenario is for you to run and make a dash for another 200 meters where your escape vehicle is waiting for you to make an escape from the scene. So what we would be putting you, the user, in is bite-sized audio tracks, which will actually explain what the scenario is, what role you're playing, and what you need to do in order to escape or to survive or to move to a next level, if it's a gaming kind of a concept that we build in the future. So that's something that we're building. Simultaneously, for content creators, that could be running coaches or anyone who likes building stories around these kind of scenarios. So the second part is something that we want to address a little later. It's probably easier to address, and this would eventually become our moat, where we have a sizable audience on the other side creating this kind of content. Currently, it's going to be me who is sort of creating the content and thinking about this as well. And I have done some amount of it already. So that's the app essentially, where you, the user, is going to be put in an audio-based scenario, playing a particular character, and running is the outcome. So you have to run 200 meters in 2 minutes, and you are playing that particular character. It becomes a little fun. You could relate so many different things, right? You could actually start thinking of Bollywood, Hollywood, Tollywood, Bollywood scenes, running scenes where you are in a chase scene, a horror scene where a ghost is chasing you. It could be so many different scenarios. You're being chased by a dinosaur. It could be made fun in so many different ways. So content would be king to a certain degree in this particular app. So the MVP is currently ready to use. I could actually send the link to any one of you who's interested as well. It's only right now available for Android. So this is sort of the MVP or the pre-MVP screens that we had, and we have the MVP in this particular format right now. where you are explained what kind of a scenario it is initially before the run starts, and then you press start, and then you have to run through the 200 meters. So once you complete the 200 meters within the 2 minutes and 25 seconds, you basically have achieved that escape, or you've been able to outrun the ghost or outrun the dinosaur, whatever it is. So a business model canvas is there where I've listed who the key partners are going to be, the key activities necessary, the value proposition. I'll talk about the value proposition as well. So on and so forth. This is not something that we can explain on a pitch. So the value proposition, again, two-sided. For the user, it's basically getting fit while having fun and being entertained. And new content can be made available at lightning speed as long as we have a good network of people who are creating content. On the content creator side, the money drivers, or the people who actually create a lot of engaging content for the users, is the possibility to monetize your stories in your mind and ease of creating content. It makes it super easy when I tell you to create a story for 30 seconds rather than creating a 5-minute or a 10-minute audiobook. You can create it easily. All I need to tell you is I need an intro. I need triggers to start the race or the run. In the middle of the run, if the person is going to get too slow or too fast, and a positive and a negative outcome kind of audio feedback, and multiple versions of it so that it becomes interesting. And they can monetize this as in how they choose, right? It becomes a marketplace for them to create and sell their content. And we have multiple possibilities of upping them, promoting them if they're doing good work, so on and so forth. So that's the value proposition. Like I said, I have ebbed and flowed in my own health journey, and that's something that I want to sort of put forward. I am a past founder. I have actually had a decent stint with my previous voice-based or a voice-first social networking app called the Voice app, where we raised, me and my co-founder, who you happen to be my MBA graduate friend, we raised a total of $350,000 and had at its peak about 150,000 active users, out of which about 38,000 were monthly active and 7,000 to 7,800 daily active users as well. I personally have been running for the last 16 odd years, out of which about 9 years has actually been serious running, and I've clocked in about 8,000 plus kilometers already. Some stats there in case it's of any interest. And more importantly, I think what is important for habitual changes or changes in habit, I think it can't come from marketing money alone or awareness alone. It has to be a movement. And for that instance, for that very purpose, I've actually started a simple yet challenging challenge, which is 500 days, 2,500 kilometers. Now, I personally committed to running 5 kilometers a day every day for the next 500 days. I'm currently on day 40. This hashtag is live. You can actually check it out on Instagram, on Facebook, not on Twitter, but on Instagram, LinkedIn as well. And I've gotten a few people to do it along with me. And another moat that I'd like to create is a good network of running athletes who endorse this idea. This app in itself is not targeting the runners per se who already have started running. It's more for the other side of the audience who have considered running, thought about running, but never have gotten to making it a habit or even run. So this is for them to believe that it's possible if they start making that effort. And to make it simple for them, I want to create content which makes it interesting for them to run, per se. The funding requirement is 300,000 at a post-money valuation of 3 million. I've broken down the ask as to what I intend to use it for. 30K in development. It could happen at a much lower level. I'm giving upper levels here. Customer acquisition at 150K and operational and miscellaneous expenses at about 100K. Just give me 1 second. Sorry. Okay, I'm here. Okay, both of you can please go inside, start playing it up. I'll finish this and come. Sorry for the disturbance. So that's the funding requirement, and revenue model is 3-tiered, or I can think of 3 immediate revenue possibilities. One is subscription, where the user is actually paying a monthly fee to get access to almost all the content. Obviously, it'll be a freemium model where they have some content which is unlocked right from the beginning for them to test and understand. And when they want more of it, then they tend to pay, and that's the subscription model. There also can be sales commission models where branded branded content or branded stories could actually be could become part of the freemium model, where a brand like Asics or Nike wants to create awareness amongst the audience and create stories around their brand, but have it interesting and make it easy for more people to come on board. So they could sort of subsidize my marketing money as well. There are rough financial projections that I have where I think if I were to achieve these numbers in terms of audiences and conversion rates, then I'll be able to break even in the 3rd year and do decent amounts after that. Now, is there proof of this kind of model existing? Yes, there is. That I'm not the first one to crack this model or do this model in the first place. What you would see here, Zombie Run within the circle or the ellipse, is probably the one which actually gave me sort of the inspiration as well. They have been in the market for almost a decade, if I'm not wrong, but they've been sort of stuck to the zombie running concept where you are placed in a particular story where you've been chased, or it's a post-apocalypse world where you are one of the survivors and you're running away from zombies pretty much all the time. That's the story. And unfortunately, they're a UK-based company. They've been boxed into that zombie-related concept. And now they're trying to branch out to other possible content stories. And they're reaching out to people to start creating content. I'd like to start from the other side where I have a good network of content creators. And as you would know, Fitbit being acquired, Runtastic being acquired, Runkeeper, pretty much everyone's been acquired by a big company. The only company which hasn't acquired a running app and has had one of their own is Nike Run Club. And if any one of you has used their guided runs, I promise you I've used it at least 5 to 6 times, and it is boring as hell. It's the running coach, Bennett, who talks, and he talks you to death. I'd really like to change that. And they have feedback on the app asking, is this boring? And I always choose that. And I'm not being jealous or trying to, put it in their face. It really is boring content, and I'd like to change that. So personally, would I use this? It's something that I would, and I would like, all of you to use it, anyone who is enthusiastic about health and running. And that's where I think I end. Yeah.
That's nice.
Thank you. That's about it. I don't know how long it took. I hope I stuck with that.
All right.
Well, let's stop share.
Well, that was very good. Actually, it was quick as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think very crisp presentation, Siddharth, and very inspiring as well. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I'll let the rest go ahead with their question.
Sorry, if you can just let me share so that I can share the screen. It says that.
What kind of content are you looking at?
Sorry?
Only audio-based content, is it?
Yes, currently only audio-based. I don't want people looking at their screen and running. That will be the worst thing to happen.
But there's a whole lot of platforms, right, who are catering to this audience. So how do you think
could you elaborate on that, Nanjanda? I'm not.
There are a whole lot of podcasts available on iTunes, which can be synced with headsets, and people listen to. In fact, I listen to it. I know a whole lot of people, not just iTunes. There are a whole lot of things right now. Apple, in fact, has segregated podcasts out of iTunes, and then you have Spotify. I mean, there are a dime and dozen one. And
latest
unique proposition.
Okay, so I think I may not have given my explanation clearly. It's more of a run tracking app with audio content than audio content being the hero, right? So the running is the.
Look at stitching with any of these guys who are actually producing. In fact, all of them are producing original content also now,
Absolutely.
right? And anybody who produces content rather look at having it on podcast on Apple or on Spotify or any of them. Right, probably it makes sense for you to stitch it to them than look at having your own platform, which is going to be a bigger hog for you, right? I mean, it's going to take away so much of your mind share and take you out of your very core business.
So you're saying integrate with platforms where audio content creation is already a given, and just use the audience to give you the content, and you build the tech platform, the running tracking, right?
Yeah, you could even have a referral arrangement with Anchor. Saying, create using Anchor, and it is available here. So probably, that becomes your revenue model also. And it takes away the whole burden of tech infrastructure for you.
Sure. I mean, that's definitely something that I should consider down the line. It's just that I was too early to consider that as a possibility as a startup, where I could speak to like the anchor and say that, hey, I'd reach out to your audience, give me content.
No, but if this is what you think is the core, then you might just as well do it, because there
Sure.
are giants there. So why do you want to try to get in? And above all, it's going to be a sucker for infrastructure, right? I mean, it's
No, but then the trick.
there.
Sorry, I was interrupting. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, so I was saying the content creation, right? The audience that is creating content on the podcasting platforms, incidentally, is more about free streaming or a free flowing audio content. The content that I would expect to be created on this particular platform of mine is short bursts. They're not really talking for even a 30-second period at a stretch. It'll be like a bite-sized intro to an audio saying that, hey, user, you are going to be playing this particular character for the next 200 meters. And then the audio stops there. And then there's probably a background music that plays. And the runner is supposed to run now. There could be background music per se, but there's no real talking in between. The content that's there on those platforms is more of that sort. And you would be, as a content creator, creating these bite-sized triggers on my platform and just uploading it. Of course, it can be produced there, but they would have to do some tech enablement as well. In order for it to be consumed on my platform. Because I'm looking at those triggers, right? Where I tell you, if you're a content creator, if you're a coach, running coach, what would you tell your runner when he slows down, right? Or what would you tell him when he achieves the target? What would you tell him or her when he loses out or doesn't achieve the target? Those kind of triggers is like a templated format. I can create a platform where it's fairly simple as well. Granted, definitely it's something easier to be communicated or created on those platforms, but it's slightly different in actual creation as well.
No, maybe you don't really need a content platform at all. What you need is a provision, whatever the content they are playing, a message from their coach should override that content when it comes in. And, it could probably be integrated with one of the AI apps, which converts even the text to voice. So coach sends a text and it could just stop the music and puts that voice bite in between saying that, hey, you're slowing down.
Sure. I mean, that's definitely possible.
Have you stopped somewhere? Something like that. So you just, I think this content, if you look at it, it's a complete diversion. It's a different animal altogether. It's a different planet, if you will.
Agree. Don't disagree there, yeah.
Are you full-time into it?
Yes, I am. Yeah. Since August 14th, I'm full-time into it. This idea actually came to me about 3 years ago. I've only gotten the, I wouldn't say the courage, but the conviction to work on this since 14th of August is when I actually put down my papers, quit my previous job, and have taken this up full-time now. Yeah.
Have you reached out to some of the running groups? Are you in Bangalore?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Have you shared it with any of the running groups? What are their feedbacks?
Groups, not yet. Individual runners and running coaches that I've actually spoken to, they've actually said that, hey, this is something that is definitely something I would want to use in order to create my own content. I may not record it, but at least I can give you the text that is necessary to sort of get the user going. I can tell you stories, so on and so forth.
There are some running groups, so you may want to check with that. You probably know all of them, right? RH.
Not all of them. I know a few, like Jayanagar Panthers or Jayanagar Jaguars, and a few of them. And I know individual runners, like a few of my friends have actually gotten endorsed by ASICS, or they're promoting ASICS and Nike. They're part of the Nike running groups per se. So I'm reaching out to them, yes.
Okay, I think RH, Runners High?
No.
Okay. Maybe I can connect you to some of them, but maybe I think that would be a better one. And also, I think one key thing is some time ago, one of my friends started running and she told me running is the new golf.
Running is the new golf, okay.
Yeah. So,
if I may ask why so?
No. She said that anybody who wants to be somebody have started running because they are actually looking at it as connecting. So she was telling me that there are more guys coming to marathon to connect with people than actually run and enjoy the run. Right? And
I didn't think of it that way.
I've heard similar conversations. The post marathon parties, a lot of things happen. So
Okay.
maybe I think it's a good line. You should take it. Running is the new
Sure.
God, right? So you got to make it cool and
particularly Siddharth.
Yeah. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I've been running on and off, Siddharth.
Okay. Okay, Ravi.
Can I step
Somehow
in?
not been able to be very consistent, you know.
Sorry, Ravi, I'm losing you every now and then. It's not very clear.
I said I've been running on and off, but somehow not been able to make it very consistent. So
Okay.
I just followed on the Instagram. Let's see what happens.
Sure. Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Hi everyone, I'm playing the role of the timekeeper right now. So Siddharth, it's been really wonderful listening to you. It was a very crisp presentation. So if anyone has any questions, Anand, Saroj, anyone, is it okay if we continue on the chat only in the interest of time, right? Because we will want the next presenter to
Sure.
continue.
Just before I close, if I could
Anju,
just
are
give
you
feedback,
okay with that?
whenever you have time, visit the website and let me know what you think.
Why don't you share your details on the chat so that, you know, everyone
Will
can
do.
kind of...
Awesome. Will do.
Yeah, can spare 5 more minutes on
as
that,
well.
Saroj?
Yeah, I have a one thing, Mukta.
Yeah, please.
Whole concept of the pitch tune is yes, we need to keep the time. But if we see the presentation and write to them our questions, and it loses the focus. We may have to have focus the time and continue with the concept of the pitch tune.
I completely understand, sir, but the first presentation took really long.
Yes, that's what we
so
want.
that is the reason, unfortunately, we've had to run, you know, for the remaining presentations.
Yes, I agree.
I'm sure we all have schedules, and if we have to finish at 5 as we've slotted, I think